Hey everybody, welcome back to The Calling here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. I'm Tanner Grace. I'm joined by Red Zone Rogue, and the players are done drafting. This is the first draft that we've got done at The Calling this year, and I'm super excited to be able to talk about it. And you and I were talking about this a little bit. I was talking about it with DM Ramada a little bit as well. We see a little more diversity out of draft than we did in Sealed, where people were forcing Briar a little bit more. And I've got to say, I've seen a lot of Oldhim. I've seen a lot of Lexi coming through this. I was walking around during the drafts and stuff, so I was like very excited to see that. What about yourself?
Yeah, exactly. I'm very excited to see that. I definitely want to see some good Lexi decks, some good Oldhim decks, maybe even a Lexi versus Oldhim.
You're such a Lexi stan.
I am. I am. Don't tell Azalea.
Okay.
But
Azalea's Bay.
More or less. But I'd love to see some maybe Lexi mirrors or Oldhim mirrors, some more interesting matchups. We've seen the Briar mirror quite a bit. But I think draft is going to be very, very interesting. Like you were saying, you can't just force Briar, right?
Right.
I mean, that's not how draft works. You need to kind of read what the draft pod is doing. You need to kind of plan out what you're doing. You can't just be like, I'm going to play all the Briar cards.
So let's talk about that for just a second. So the people at home have never seen a draft before, because there's a chance that they may not have ever drafted in a game like Flesh of Blood. The way that it works is every player gets 3 packs, and so you sit down at a table of 8. And what you're going to do is you're going to open your first pack. You're going to look through the cards, take a card that you want, select it by putting it face down in front of you. You're going to shuffle the pack, and you're going to pass it to the person to your left. So then, I'd pass my pack to you. You would pick it up, and I would get the pack from the person to my right, and we'd go through it. Oh, hey, look, this is a really good card, and I'd take it. And you do this until all the cards are gone from the pack. Then you do this again with the second pack, except this time you're going to be passing to the right, and then you do it again, pack to the left. Now, you are allowed to choose your hero as you go along. You don't have to declare that in any way. You are given the hero token afterwards along with the weapon that goes along with your hero. Any equipment that you want to play, you have to get within those packs, and you're not the only person trying to get those. Those are quite high picks in the draft, especially the generic ones.
100%.
Can be very, very good. So it's nice to see and very interesting to see the different strategies that some of the players like to go with, because here's the thing, there's multiple things you can do, especially when it comes to your first pick. You've seen a lot of the Flesh and Blood Twitter account posting this week, along with the Channel Fireball Twitter account, what would be your first pick out of these packs. And there's been 2 prevailing thoughts of what's correct. One is you take probably the highest power level generic card that you can to leave yourself open, right? You don't want to be like, well, I'm Lexi from pick 1, or well, I'm Oldhim from pick 1, because if you don't get past enough cards in that, your deck's not going to be that good. And there's other people that say if a card is just so powerful in the first pack, or a card that is just a very good card at leading you down a road to super powerful decks, that's what you want to take. That's more my style.
It's kind of my style too, but when you do that, you really need to be aware of pivoting, right? Because you don't want to be committed to your first pick if what you're seeing isn't going to, lead to a good cohesive deck.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. You have to be you're not married to your first pick.
Exactly.
You are allowed to get rid of it. I think one of the number 1 easy first pick generic cards has been Deep Blue for me, and a lot of my first picks. It's been very, very good. It's a generic equipment that anyone can play. I like taking Earth or Lightning cards early, because what I know is these cards are going to be very good. They're going to be very powerful, but it doesn't lead me to just one hero.
That's true.
You've got 2 that you could branch off, because this is a weird draft format. It's the first one we've had where you've had only 3 heroes instead of 4. But actually, when you think about it, we get more than 4 when it comes down to, you've got different versions of Lexi. You've got different versions of Oldhim, and along with Briar, and you have the ones that mix up the 2. Generally, your more powerful draft decks, the ones that are going to be more consistent turn to turn, are the ones that, I'm in this hero and I am in this ability. I am Lightning Briar.
Yeah, that is my experience 100%. I mean, we did some drafts yesterday, and same exact thing. I saw that Lightning was open. I'm like, I'm going to just go right into Lightning. Lexi seemed pretty open, going right into Lexi. And I think that's definitely a good way to do it. And like you said, it's consistency, right? And consistency is really what's going to make or break some of these decks.
Absolutely. You know what? Let's go ahead and take our first looks at some of these decks. It looks like we are ready for our first match here in round 8.
All right, here we have Alec versus Jon, another Briar mirror match. This is going to be very interesting because this is a drafted Briar mirror match as opposed to a sealed Briar mirror match. So these decks in general are going to be a lot more sculpted, right? A lot more fine-tuned than what we saw for sealed. Because in sealed, you're just kind of playing with whatever pool you're dealt, but here they've crafted these decks.
Yeah, and I believe that we've had Alec on coverage already today. I'm not 100% of that, but it looks like they've both got the suede hides. We've got a Mark of Lightning down here for Jon Ho, and I think that's going to be very, very important in this kind of matchup.
Has been really nice.
And yeah, we've already seen some Lightning cards here because we're seeing a card, Veloflash with a Lightning fusion.
Yeah, and he reveals that Ball Lightning too. So he's like, hey, check out this Ball Lightning I've got.
And when you see Ball Lightning coming out of the Briar deck, it kind of tells you what version of the deck you're going against. The much more like wider, aggressive version, while the Earth deck generally is more the taller, try to play like one real big attack version of the deck.
100%.
While they both can still do either way as well.
Yeah, especially since both of these players do have that Sutcliffe Suede Hides. So we do have a blocking with a pretty great card, in my opinion, blocking with the Singeing Steelblade.
Yeah, one of the cards that's just very, very good in this kind of deck because it allows you to attack plus also do Arcane. That's an Amulet of Earth.
Yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. So he follows it up with an Amulet of Earth, which has Go again. He was able to play it as an instant because he did fuse the Veloflash, and because of that, he's able to follow that up with a Rosetta Thorn with that extra 2 arcane damage. So I do really like the line here, right? Being able to push through some arcane damage on turn 1 is great. And I think that's me, if I'm a Briar player, that's really what I want to do, right? I want to push as much early arcane damage as I can and force my opponent to get on the back foot.
Yep, looks like Alec is already down to 18. Looks like he's going to take that damage as well, it seems. Oh, never mind. It looks like we are into the block. So we're going into the blocks phase here. It looks like a full block.
Blocking all the physical on that one.
Yep, the players are going to both draw up to 4 here since it's the first turn.
I honestly think that was a great first turn because not only did he play a card where he was able to, do some arcane damage, but he also set himself up for future turns with that amulet.
And this is a good start off here for Alec. Oh, wow, this is going to be a very powerful turn.
Yeah, this is a spicy one. So we have a Bramble Spark into a card that, if he fuses it, is going to be able to do some arcane damage. Now, did he fuse it? So if he fuses it, it's going to do some arcane damage. It's going to have Go again. The Bramble Spark is going to do arcane damage. So yeah, I think this is a great play here.
Yeah, it looks like the 2 arcane damage has already come through. We see 2 embodiments of Earth, and Jon has already gone down to 18. And there's 2 resource points sitting over there, too. So you got to be a little worried that possibly something else could even happen this turn.
Very scary. I mean, like, once again, baseline here, he can just come in with a Rosetta Thorn with an extra 2 physical and 2 arcane. He is looking at the card in his hand. It looks to me like a Weave Lightning, but either way, he can still come in with this Rosetta Thorn. Doesn't even need to use that card in hand.
Yeah, it looks like this is a block from the Veloflash. It's going to go up to make the 3rd embodiment of Earth. And like you said, here comes that Rosetta Thorn coming in for an attack here as well this turn. Both these players firing on all cylinders for their first couple attacks here. We're going to see if Jon's going to get another block in here because he's going to be taking some more arcane damage as well here. Already down to 15 this turn. Ooh, he's still doing some more blocking.
And he set himself up with 3 embodiment of Earth, which is so good. It's so good because it's going to make all of his non-attacks block for 5, and it's going to make it so it's just super, super hard for Jon to push damage through that isn't arcane damage.
Yep.
Speaking of which,
Alec's got an Arsenal card as well here, and here comes that arcane damage. This is a Bramble Spark into a Ball Lightning, 2 0-cost cards. So this is going to allow Jon to have a forward momentum turn without actually committing any cards for resources, so he gets to kind of get a little more use out of his cards from his turn.
I absolutely love these turns. The Bramble Spark into the Ball Lightning. Do you think he's considering the Mark of Lightning here to push through that extra 2?
It might be a little early since he's already gotten 1 embodiment of Earth and there's a block coming from Alec, so there's only 3 cards plus the Arsenal. I think if there would have been a full block, a way to stop the arcane damage or something this turn, or if he didn't get arcane damage, then possibly he would have. It's definitely something to at least consider. But if you're getting at least 1 embodiment, I think you're okay with it.
I think it's still like a great turn there.
Oh, absolutely.
Taking your opponent down to 10 this early.
These are some really good starts from both players. That's a Weave Lightning.
Yeah, Weave Lightning into an Arcanic Shockwave. So if he fuses this, he'll be able to do an extra arcane damage. And it'll get the Go again from the Weave Lightning.
I believe that he did fuse it. The way that he's doing it, it's kind of hard for us to see on the main thing. You can see it up in his camera. He's kind of flashing in the card.
So it is fused here, which is great because it's going to give it Go again. It's going to do that arcane damage, and it's just going to get the buff from the Weave Lightning. So this is a pretty threatening attack.
Both these players are already losing a ton of life quickly. Alec down to 10. Jon is at 14 at the moment, but he is under attack right now. So these life totals could get a lot closer, a lot faster.
Yeah, I think 10 to 14 is still pretty close in the grand scheme of things here. Definitely don't, no one's in a huge commanding lead right now. So definitely, he has to consider, what do I want to block with? What is my next turn play going to be? He does have 2 Stir the Wildwoods in his hand. He's going to block with one of them. Going to block with a higher pitch blue version.
Yep, this is going to block 3. It looks like, ooh, this is one of your favorite cards.
I love me some Lightning Press. So that's Lightning Press. It's going to push through and some extra damage. So we're gonna see some Embodiment of Earths here for
Lightning
sure.
Press is a really great card in this set. Not only does it help push extra damage, it is a lightning card to reveal.
100%.
But there's not a lot of attack action reactions in this set. So this is one of the only ones where like you're blocking, you're like, oh, block, it's fine. You're like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah, I love it so much because you can reveal it as a fusion and then immediately play it.
And then the threat of it is also really good too. People might overblock, and then you're like, I'm just not. We saw this earlier. Someone overblocked, and he's like, okay, I just won't play the card.
I just save it.
Yeah.
And so we had a Rosetta Thorn followed up. That will do the 2 arcane damage because he did play the non-attack as the first card in the chain here. So, yeah, this is just another really solid Briar turn.
Yep, absolutely. And so the Rosetta Thorn's going to come back. Jon is down to 8, and I expect to see a lot of this from the draft decks, especially from these top table players at the 7-0 and the 6-1 spot, because
100%.
These decks are going to be very focused. Now, Jon's down to 4. Ooh. And Alec is down to 10 here, but this looks like there's going to be a pretty big attack from the Stir the Wildwood here because this is a fused Stir the Wildwood. Yeah,
coming in for good old 7. He did fuse it, which is great. It means it turned on his amulet. If he wants to use his amulet, he can. Alec is at 10, so he does have a little bit of room to play with his life here. And with his opponent at 4, with Alec's opponent at 4, he could be like, maybe I take some damage here. Maybe I take some damage, and then I come back and try to close out the game, which is something that he's definitely, considering.
I was going to say, I see multiple non-attack actions in Alec's hand.
That's a big block.
Here, so I was going to say, yeah, he might have to spew some of this off just to, soak some of it up because it's so free with these Embodiment of Earths because this is a giant attack here. And I don't know if he had an actual attack in his hand. I think the last 2 cards are Bramble Sparks.
And he's blocking for an 8, like a full 8 here. So it's pretty easy. 2 cards, block your massive attack. And, if he doesn't have any decent attack actions, he's not too unhappy about that.
Arsenal from Jon Ho here is going to run up to the 4, and it does look like he's going to use a Bramble Spark to just attack for 2 of the Thorns. So it does look like the read on that hand was correct. There's no actual attack here, and that he's just trying to get as much value as he can out of these and to get them back onto the bottom of his deck.
Yeah, you do want to have a turn here. You want to at least threaten some amount of damage, and with Jon sitting at 4 life, you kind of have to consider, like, I can't really take this too. I still have to commit a card, which is not a good feeling, right?
It's an awful feeling, and that's just a really good play and a really good situation awareness here from Alec because, if this trades for anything, he's happy. A card from hand, he gets the 2 damage in. No matter what happens here, he's super happy about this because he's going to arsenal up this other Bramble Spark, draw 4 cards, and now this is the turn. Now, he doesn't get an Embodiment of Earth, so he's going to have to block normally and naturally. But the thing is, Jon's down to 4 cards at an arsenal. You could probably dodge 10 damage here, and you've got to believe you can cobble together 4 damage with your hand and a Bramble Spark in your arsenal.
Yeah, if you're Jon here, you're kind of worried, right? You see your hand. He has another amulet in his hand, which he's going to pitch.
I was going to say, this might be able to threaten 10 damage.
So we do have an Autumn's Touch that is getting pumped by a Weave Earth, right? So the Weave Earth is only going to pump for a little bit because it is a blue pitch, and he's not fusing. And so we do have a block. This is going to block for 3. So, if you're Alec here, right, this is the same kind of thing. Like, you're thinking, I can still take some damage. I don't need to commit a ton of cards to block here. I can take some damage. I can use my life as a resource and then try to come back for the win since my opponent is so low.
Yeah, and this is a turn where, I would say you can't use the Mark of Lightning because it was an Earth card.
Yeah.
So again, like maybe earlier, that's a reason to kind of do it in the turn you were talking about where you might not get the situation because how fast this game's going to go.
And this is a lightning fast game.
Oh, wow.
A lightning fast game.
All right, here we go. That Bramble Spark from...
Oh, no. This is scary. I can see a Ball Lightning in Alec's hand. So we have, Bramble Spark. He's going to play okay, this is interesting. So Bramble Spark into an amulet, into a Ball Lightning. So he did play 2 non-attacks, so it's going to create a Mark of Lightning. And then he plays the Ball Lightning. So we have a block here. And then...
It does look like there's another attack behind this, and that's going to be too much for Jon to block. So he fell behind just a little bit early in the game and then never was able to get himself back into this. So we do get that Briar on Briar matchup. And I will say this. We didn't get to see all of their decks, but when I look at Jon's deck versus Alec's deck looked like it was a little more focused on the fusing, and the Jon's deck had a little bit of like it had Earth and Lightning, and there's nothing wrong with that. It makes some very good decks. Those cards are very, very good, but you want to make sure that you're always getting to fuse as much as possible and that your deck is streamlined as possible. So maybe a little bit of that could, kind of push you over the edge in these mirrors and make you a little bit better.
Yeah, that's definitely the power of a streamlined draft deck.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And so we're going to see some more streamlined draft decks in just a minute. We're going to be gone for about 3 minutes and come back with another match for you here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Flesh and Blood.